The crisis which is in Africa today is because of philosophical, ideological, strategic, economic mistakes, which we have been talking about since the 1960s. This is not an accident. When you see the crisis in many of the African countries, the collapse of states, we predicted this in the 1960s. Philosophical, ideological, strategic mistakes. I don't have time to amplify each one, but I was very happy to hear the President of the World Bank talking about prosperity instead of profiteering. These were his own words. That's what I picked. This has been the problem. Aid has been for profiteering. This has been the problem. Now, the World Bank people and other groups have been talking of sustainable development. Even in your documents, I have seen those words there, sustainable development. I am now going to be 80 years old. I have never seen sustainable pregnancy, that a woman is pregnant this year, the pregnancy continues next year, 3 years, 4 years, it never happens. In life, pregnancy develops sustainably within the womb of the woman. Quantitatively, the baby is growing bigger and bigger. But at some stage, quantitative growth must be transformed into qualitative change. The pregnancy must become a baby. If the pregnancy remains pregnancy, the fetus will die. So therefore, I would even ask you to change those words in your documents. Africa does not need sustainable what? You could call it sustainable underdevelopment. Africa needs socio-economic transformation. The pregnancy must become a baby. The baby must grow and become a teenager. The teenager must grow. That's what happens in life. You cannot have quantitative growth and you think you are doing anything. The main reason why there is no growth is because the growth factors are not funded. They are not even understood. What are the growth factors? We now talk of private sector-led growth. Yes, but for the private sector to grow, what does it need? It needs low costs of production. Ministers of Finance, low costs of production. And what are the low costs of production? Number one, transport. You must have low transport costs. Where do low transport costs come from? From the railway. If you don't fund the railway, how will you get low transport costs? Wonderful people. Banco Mundial, IMF, all these. Where will low cost of production come from if you don't have a railway? I have been here for the last 64 years. I've been watching as a student leader, as a freedom fighter, now as the leader of a country. How many railways have been constructed or funded in Africa? The few that have been was by China, the Tanzania Railway to Zambia, and recently China, another one here in Kenya, and then Tanzania on their own, they are building a railway line. So if you are talking of helping Africa, the railway, I don't want to be involved in any other words, no, please. The railway. Because if you fund the railway, you will have low cost of transport, and you can produce products which are cheap, which can be bought in the world. So you audit how much funding, all these billions you are talking about, how much of it has gone to the railway. Audit it. The second cost pusher is electricity. If you don't find electricity and you talk about sustainable development, what are you talking about? Private sector-led growth. Maneno too. Electricity. We must have low-cost electricity, not exceeding 5 cents per kilowatt hour. That's what I insist on in Uganda. I'm tired of all these stories. These neo-colonial civil servants who have been holding us back, I have put my foot down, say, I don't want to hear those stories. And Uganda is developing, and it will develop, because I don't entertain that nonsense anymore. Borrowing for what? Capacity building. Imagine seminars. They call you in a hotel, you eat chapati, you eat mandazi. They say that is capacity building. Capacity building should be on the ground, not just seminars. So, the second point, Excellency, is electricity. The third one, those people who talk about private sector-led growth, private sector-led growth. I have been trying to borrow money for our UDB, Uganda Development Bank, a bank which funds manufacturers. No, I don't get support for that. Instead, they want me to go, my people to go to commercial banks. But commercial banks cannot give, those commercial banks are to encourage imports, because the only person who can borrow money and pay it back from a commercial bank is a trader who goes to China, goes to Dubai, brings products, sells them quickly, and pays back. So, if you are serious, I need to hear about the low-cost funding for manufacturing. Not for stories, not for what, no, manufacturing. How about funding for irrigation? Because if you want to stabilize agriculture, a country like Uganda is very rich, we have got everything. But still sometimes we get some erraticness in the rain. So in order to stabilize, I've been trying to look for a loan for irrigation. I can't easily get it. Very difficult to get. A loan for seminars, very quick. The civil servants, what? But a loan for irrigation, you don't see. Now, finally, the loan for, I don't know the situation in other African countries, and I don't have time to talk for a long, I don't have opportunity to talk for long. But Uganda is a very rich country. But one of the problems we were having was that our people were outside the money economy. They were in what they call subsistence sector. They just produce for eating. Wanashughulikia tumbo tu. So I was looking for money. Please give me money to give coffee seedlings to these fellows who are just producing for the stomach, so that they can produce for the stomach, but also produce for the pocket, so that they join the money economy. You cannot imagine that by 2013, a few years ago, 68% of the homesteads in Uganda were still in the subsistence sector, in the non-money economy. You audit your countries. What is the situation? What is the percentage of the people? So I had now to use my own money, because I couldn't borrow money from anybody. The loans are for capacity building, for, I don't know, sometimes they give for ICT, but ICT is a communication system, mainly. What are you going to communicate on that communication? How are you? Good morning. And you think that is communication. Why don't you have ICT linked with agriculture, linked with industry? Oh, now the digital. Are you eating computers? Have I seen anybody eating computers? Just running up and down. Maneno too. So I was insisting that all these Ugandans must be in the money economy. 2013, not long ago, 68% of Ugandans were outside the money economy, because Uganda is a very rich country. A fool can survive there. In other countries, fools die. But in Uganda, fools can thrive there. They just eat. He stays with his brothers. He eats. He goes from there to the sister. He eats. He's not earning anything, but he's eating. So we said, no, everybody must be involved in the money economy. We couldn't get any support for that. But we funded it ourselves. Each year, we spend about $300 million of our own to make these villagers join the money economy by producing for the stomach, but also for the pocket. And from 2013, I was now told that for the first time, 61% of the people are in the money economy, of the homesteads. It is only 39% that are still out. You imagine those are still there, just eating, no money. So therefore, this meeting is, then you get your neo-colonial civil servants. They talk of import support. Imagine there is money for import support. Import support, import support. The governor writes to me, reports, we have got import cover for so many months. But I don't want to import, I want to export. Why don't you tell me about import substitution and export promotion? Instead you are telling me of import support. Money is available for to become more dependent. So I'm very glad to hear what now finally the cash, which we told our people about in the 1960s, we told them, part of the wars we fought in Uganda, we had to get rid of the neo-colonial groups which were there, which were stopping us from thinking. We had to get rid of them by force. But one of the problems was Africa producing raw materials, matière primaire. They call it in Français, matière primaire. Raw materials. Imagine coffee. The global value of coffee is $460 billion. All the coffee producing countries of the world, Brazil, us, all these, we only get 25 billion of that. Out of the 460 billion, the coffee producing countries get 25 billion. And Africa gets only 2.5 billion. 900 million of that comes to Uganda because Uganda produces a lot of coffee. A country like Germany, which has no coffee, earns $65 billion from coffee. So, this I sell a kilo of coffee, good grade coffee, $2.5. Somebody in London will get $241 from that 1 kilo. Okay, there are other costs on the way. I don't want to, because he's the owner of a restaurant and so on. But coffee roasting, coffee grinding, coffee packing must happen here in Africa. It must happen at source. The shirt I'm putting on is Ugandan cotton. I don't put on foreign clothes. It's only the trousers I'm putting on because I can't go naked. Because they have not solved that problem for me. So, if you look at cotton, how many job levels are there? Job levels. You grow the cotton. Okay, that one we do. Those jobs we do. We gene the cotton. Kutoa and mbegu, remove the seeds. That one we do here. And we end there. When you hear all these countries which have got crisis, Burkina Faso, I don't know what, Mali, all of them are cotton growing countries. But how much textiles are they producing? They are importing textiles, I don't know from where. So now if you end at level 2, gining, removing the seeds, then you take the pamba, you take the cotton, to cleverer people who are clever, watu wenye akili, wako huko, sisi hapo tutajiita vipi? Kama mtu anakuzidi akili wewe unasema wewe nani? So they take the cotton, they spinning, more money, more jobs for their children. They weave more